The massive Imperial ship Nexus Prime moved through space like a sleeping giant. Its dark metal hull stretched for miles and carried enough weapons to destroy entire planets. Admiral Kethvar stood on the bridge watching the stars pass by through the huge viewing window. He was proud of his ship and his crew. The Zephyrian Empire had ruled the galaxy for over 1,000 years, and ships like his kept the peace. Lieutenant Commander Maya Torres sat at her station monitoring the deep space sensors. She was one of only 12 humans allowed to serve in the Imperial fleet. Most aliens looked down on her species. They thought humans were weak and stupid. Maya had worked hard to prove them wrong, but she still felt the cold stares from her alien crewmates. The sensor array showed nothing unusual. Empty space filled with distant stars and cosmic dust. Maya had been doing this job for 3 years and rarely saw anything interesting. Imperial space was heavily guarded and protected. Nothing could get through without permission. Then the sensors began to scream. Maya stared at her screen in shock. A massive energy signature had appeared from nowhere. The reading showed a ship materializing right in the middle of the Kepler sector. This was impossible. The Kepler sector had the strongest defenses in the entire Empire. No ship could enter without being detected days in advance. Admiral Kethvar rushed to her station. His blue-scaled face showed deep concern as he looked at the readings. The ship was big but not huge. It had a sleek design that looked almost familiar. The energy readings were unlike anything in the Imperial database. Maya felt her heart stop when she saw the ship design. The smooth curves and angular sections looked human. But this could not be right. Humans barely had faster-than-light travel. Their ships were crude and slow. The Empire kept careful watch on human space and knew exactly what they could build. The mysterious ship sat motionless in space. It made no attempt to communicate or explain its presence. The hull was dark and gave off strange energy patterns. Maya could see weapons ports along its sides, but they looked far more advanced than anything humans should possess. Admiral Kethvar ordered all sensors focused on the unknown vessel. The scans revealed disturbing information. The ship hull was made from materials the Empire had never seen. The energy source was completely unknown. Most shocking of all, the ship appeared to be scanning Imperial installations with equipment that should not exist. Maya watched the sensor data with growing fear. The human-looking ship was gathering detailed information about Imperial defenses. It mapped weapon positions and shield generators with incredible accuracy. Somehow it was penetrating security systems that had never been breached. The communications officer tried to contact the mysterious vessel. She sent standard Imperial greeting codes and demanded identification. The ship remained silent. It continued its scanning operation as if the mighty Imperial fleet did not exist. Admiral Kethvar grew angry. No ship had ever ignored Imperial authority in this sector. He ordered battle stations and prepared to destroy the intruder. The Nexus Prime powered up its massive weapons and locked onto the target. Maya felt sick as she watched the targeting systems engage. If this was really a human ship, then her own people were about to die. She wanted to cry out and stop the attack, but her duty was to the Empire. Before Admiral Kethvar could give the order to fire, something incredible happened. The mysterious ship began broadcasting on frequencies that only Maya could detect. The signals were coming through her personal communication device. The message was in perfect English and made her blood run cold. Phase 1 complete. Proceed to Phase 2. Maya stared at the message in terror. What did it mean? How could a human ship be here? Why was it sending secret messages that only she could receive? She looked around the bridge and realized no one else had detected the transmission. The ship suddenly moved with impossible speed and grace. It spun around the Imperial fleet like it was dancing. The movements were so fast and precise that Admiral Kethvar could barely track it. This was not the clumsy flying of primitive humans. More disturbing information came from the sensors. The ship was not alone. Maya detected faint energy signatures in several locations around the fleet. Other ships were hiding out there using stealth technology the Empire did not possess. Admiral Kethvar demanded answers that Maya could not give. How had humans developed such advanced technology? Where had they gotten materials the Empire had never seen? Why were they here in the most secure part of Imperial space? Maya felt trapped between two worlds. She was human, but she served the Empire. Her loyalty had never been questioned before, but now she faced an impossible choice. The mysterious ship represented her own species, but it threatened everything she had sworn to protect. The ship finally stopped its dancing movements, and positioned itself directly in front of the Nexus Prime. It was much smaller than the Imperial vessel, but somehow it did not look afraid. The dark hull gleamed in the starlight, and Maya could feel the power radiating from within. Admiral Kethvar prepared to demand surrender or open fire. The fate of the galaxy might depend on what happened in the next few moments. Maya held her breath and wondered if her world was about to change forever. The silence stretched across space like a held breath. Admiral Kethvar stood ready to destroy the mysterious human ship when it finally responded to Imperial communications. The main screen flickered to life and showed the bridge of the unknown vessel. A woman with short brown hair and calm green eyes appeared on screen. She wore a dark blue uniform that Maya had never seen before. The woman looked completely relaxed, as if she was meeting old friends instead of facing the most powerful military force in the galaxy. Captain Lisa Morgan introduced herself with a casual smile. She spoke to Admiral Kethvar like an equal, which shocked everyone on the bridge. No one addressed Imperial officers without showing proper respect. This human woman acted like she owned the universe. Admiral Kethvar demanded to know how humans had penetrated Imperial space. Captain Morgan laughed softly and said humans had been watching Imperial movements for many years. She mentioned specific military operations that were classified at the highest levels. She knew about secret research projects and even personal details about Imperial officers. Maya felt the blood drain from her face as Captain Morgan casually discussed information that should have been impossible to obtain. The human captain talked about Admiral Kethvar's wife and children. She knew about his military service record and his private thoughts about Empire policies. The Imperial bridge crew exchanged worried glances. How could primitive humans know such detailed information about their most guarded secrets? Captain Morgan seemed to read their thoughts and smiled even wider. Captain Morgan explained that humanity had been learning about galactic civilization for decades. They had developed ways to gather information that the Empire could not detect. Every Imperial ship that entered human space had been secretly scanned and studied. Every diplomatic meeting had been recorded and analyzed. Admiral Kethvar grew angry and accused the humans of spying. Captain Morgan did not deny the charge. She said humans had been watching and learning and preparing for this moment. Her words carried a weight that made Maya shiver with fear. Meanwhile, Maya discovered that the human ship was broadcasting constant data streams to unknown receivers throughout the galaxy. The signals were encrypted with codes she could not break. The ship was not just exploring Imperial space, but reporting everything it found to hidden allies. Commander Elena Rodriguez appeared beside Captain Morgan on the screen. She was the tactical officer of the human ship, and she demonstrated their advanced capabilities by hacking into Imperial computer systems. Security barriers that took Zephyrian experts hours to decode crumbled in seconds before human technology. Maya watched in horror as Commander Rodriguez accessed classified Imperial files. She pulled up battle plans and troop movements and strategic assessments with frightening ease. The most secure networks in the Empire offered no resistance to human cyber attacks. Captain Morgan revealed that the ship called UES Nightfall was part of a larger operation. She spoke about Phase 2 as if Admiral Kethvar should understand what that meant. Her confidence was terrifying because it suggested humans had been planning something big for a very long time. The demonstration of human capabilities continued as Commander Rodriguez took control of minor Imperial systems. She turned lights on and off and adjusted environmental controls just to prove she could do it. The message was clear. If humans wanted to, they could cripple Imperial ships without firing a single shot. Admiral Kethvar tried to maintain his authority, but Captain Morgan had shattered his confidence. She knew too much and her technology was too advanced. The humans were not the primitive species the Empire believed them to be. Captain Morgan then delivered an ultimatum that left everyone speechless. She gave the Empire 72 hours to withdraw from 3-star systems that humanity claimed as their own. These were systems the Empire had controlled for centuries and considered vital to their security. Maya could not believe what she was hearing. A single human ship was making demands of the entire Zephyrian Empire. Captain Morgan spoke with the authority of someone who knew she held all the cards in this game. The 3 systems Captain Morgan mentioned were strategically important. They controlled major trade routes and contained valuable resources. The Empire would never willingly give them up. Maya realized this ultimatum was really a declaration of war. Captain Morgan seemed to read Maya's thoughts again. She looked directly at the human officer. and said that some wars had been fought for years before anyone realized they were happening. Her words carried a chilling implication about the true nature of human activities. Admiral Kethvar tried to regain control of the situation by threatening to destroy the human ship. Captain Morgan remained calm and pointed out that destroying her vessel would accomplish nothing. She said there were many more ships like hers scattered throughout Imperial space. The meeting ended when Captain Morgan cut the communication link. Her final words echoed across the bridge like a death sentence. She said the Empire had 72 hours to make their choice. After that, humanity would make the choice for them. Maya sat at her station trying to process what she had witnessed. Everything she thought she knew about her own species was wrong. Humans were not primitive or weak. They had been pretending to be harmless while secretly preparing for war. Admiral Kethvar immediately contacted Imperial High Command to report the encounter. Maya listened to his report and felt a growing sense of dread. She realized that her two worlds were about to collide, and she would be forced to choose which side she really belonged to. The Nightfall remained in position near the Imperial fleet. Its dark hull reflected the stars, and Maya could feel the power hidden within. This was not the end of the encounter, but only the beginning of something much larger and more dangerous than anyone had imagined. Admiral Kethvar sent his urgent report to Imperial High Command, expecting shock and outrage. Instead, the response he received made his blood run cold. High Command revealed that similar encounters with human ships had been happening across the galaxy for months. Each incident followed the same pattern of impossible technology and mysterious disappearances. Maya Torres was immediately detained for questioning. Imperial security officers escorted her to a holding cell deep within the Nexus Prime. They suspected she might be working with the human infiltrators. Maya knew she was in terrible danger, but she also knew they were right to suspect her. During interrogation, Maya revealed truths that shattered Imperial assumptions about human activities. She admitted she was not just a liaison officer, but a deep-cover intelligence agent. She had been gathering information about Imperial operations for years and sending it back to human command. The interrogators could not believe what they were hearing. Maya explained that dozens of humans like her were embedded throughout galactic civilization. They worked in governments and corporations and military organizations. They had been watching and learning and reporting for over 2 decades. As the 72-hour deadline approached, the Empire mobilized its most powerful fleets. Thousands of ships prepared to crush what they still believed was human arrogance. Admiral Kethvar led one of the attack forces toward the contested star systems. When the Imperial fleets arrived at their destinations, they found a sight that defied all logic. The 3 star systems were already under human control. Orbital stations had been captured intact without any signs of battle. Imperial personnel were unharmed but confined to secure areas. Human ships patrolled the systems with technology that matched or exceeded Imperial standards. The vessels moved with precision and power that should not have existed. Their weapons and defenses appeared to be generations ahead of anything the Empire possessed. Captain Amy Sullivan of the UES Ghost Runner contacted the Imperial fleet with news that destroyed their understanding of reality. She revealed that humanity had been fighting a shadow war against the Empire for 20 years. Every system malfunction and unexplained accident had been carefully planned human operations. Maya learned about the scope of human activities from her cell. Imperial security showed her evidence of mysterious events throughout the galaxy. Cargo ships that disappeared without trace, communication networks that failed at critical moments, military bases that suffered convenient equipment failures. Captain Sullivan explained that humans had not been hiding from galactic civilization, but infiltrating it from within. They had studied every aspect of Imperial technology and tactics. They had identified weaknesses and exploited them with surgical precision. The revelation went deeper than anyone had imagined. Every random pirate attack on Imperial forces had been human operations in disguise. Every technical problem that delayed Imperial expansion had been sabotage. Every intelligence leak that helped rebel groups had come from human sources. Admiral Kethvar realized his empire had been under attack for decades without knowing it. The humans had been fighting a war so secret that even the victims did not know they were being targeted. It was the most brilliant military campaign in galactic history. Imperial fleets tried to retake the captured systems, but found themselves outmatched at every turn. Human ships seemed to predict their every move. Imperial communications were intercepted, and weapon systems failed at critical moments. The attackers became the victims. Maya watched the battle reports with mixed emotions. Her human heritage made her proud of their success, but her Imperial service made her mourn for her alien comrades. She was trapped between two identities, and neither side fully trusted her. Captain Sullivan demonstrated the true extent of human capabilities by revealing ships that had been hiding throughout Imperial space. Stealth vessels materialized near Imperial fleets like ghosts becoming solid. They had been watching and waiting for years. The Imperial commanders could not understand how humans had developed such advanced stealth technology. Their ships could hide in plain sight and remain undetected by the most sophisticated sensors. It was like fighting an enemy that could become invisible. Human forces began appearing in systems throughout the Empire. They emerged from hiding places that no one knew existed. Bases built inside asteroids and space stations disguised as debris fields. The humans had been preparing this campaign for an entire generation. Maya finally understood the true meaning of the messages she had received. Phase 1 had been infiltration and intelligence gathering. Phase 2 was the revelation of human capabilities. Phase 3 would be something even more dramatic. Imperial High Command tried to negotiate with human leaders but found they had no idea who was really in charge. The humans they had dealt with for decades were revealed to be low-level operatives. The real human government remained hidden and mysterious. Admiral Kethvar received orders to withdraw his forces and regroup for a larger campaign. The Empire was admitting defeat in the first round but preparing for total war. Maya knew this was exactly what the humans wanted. The captured systems became showcases for human technology and organization. Former Imperial citizens found themselves living under human rule and discovered it was more fair and efficient than Imperial government. Many began to question their loyalty to the Empire. As the 72 hours ended, Captain Lisa Morgan sent a final message to Imperial forces. She thanked them for their cooperation and announced that Phase 3 would begin immediately. Her words carried the promise of even greater revelations to come. Maya sat in her cell wondering what role she would play in the coming war. She had served both sides and trusted neither completely. The conflict between humans and the Empire was about to enter a new phase that would determine the fate of the entire galaxy. The hidden war was hidden no longer. Humanity had revealed their hand and shown they were far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. The galaxy would never be the same again. Admiral Kethvar demanded a meeting with human leadership, expecting to face desperate refugees seeking mercy. Instead, Imperial shuttles brought him to a massive hidden base that should not have existed. The structure was built inside a hollowed-out asteroid and contained technology that made Imperial engineering look primitive. Admiral Rebecca Hayes welcomed the Imperial delegation with cold professionalism. She commanded the Terra Defense Initiative, which was supposedly a small defensive organization protecting human space. The reality was far more shocking than anyone had imagined. Admiral Hayes revealed the true scope of human operations throughout the galaxy. Hidden bases existed in hundreds of systems disguised as mining operations or research stations. Human agents had infiltrated every major government and corporation. The primitive species from Earth had built a secret empire. Maya Torres stood beside Admiral Hayes, no longer wearing Imperial uniform, but the dark blue of human intelligence services. She had been promoted to Colonel Torres, and her real rank showed she had been far more important than anyone realized. Her years of Imperial service had been an elaborate deception. Admiral Kethvar felt sick as he learned how completely humans had penetrated Imperial society. They had agents in government councils and military commands. They knew Imperial plans before Imperial officers did. Every major decision had been influenced by human manipulation. The revelation went deeper into galactic history. Admiral Hayes presented evidence that the Zephyrian Empire had planned to destroy or enslave humanity decades ago. Imperial documents showed detailed plans for cultural integration. That was really slow conquest and eventual genocide. Colonel Torres explained how human intelligence had discovered these plans and begun preparing for war. Everything humans had done since was designed to prevent their extinction. They had appeared weak and primitive while secretly building the most advanced military force in the galaxy. Admiral Hayes showed holographic displays of human military strength. Thousands of ships hidden throughout space equipped with technology generations ahead of Imperial standards. Manufacturing centers that could produce fleets faster than the Empire could destroy them. Defensive systems that made human space impregnable. The truth about human technology was the most shocking revelation of all. They had not developed their advances through normal research, but by studying and improving on technology from dozens of other species. The Empire had unknowingly helped by allowing human access to galactic databases. Captain Sarah Johnson materialized on the bridge of her stealth frigate UES Whisper. She had been shadowing Imperial vessels for years close enough to destroy them, but choosing instead to gather intelligence. Imperial commanders realized they had been living on borrowed time without knowing it. Admiral Hayes revealed that humanity was not fighting alone. They led a coalition of species the Empire thought they had eliminated through cultural integration. Survivors had been hiding and preparing for revenge with human help and guidance. The evidence of Imperial crimes was overwhelming. Entire civilizations had been destroyed through biological weapons and cultural manipulation. Planets had been stripped of resources and left to die. Billions of beings had been enslaved or killed to feed Imperial expansion. Colonel Torres presented recordings of Imperial war crimes that made Admiral Kethvar sick. His own forces had participated in operations he thought were peacekeeping missions. The Empire had hidden the truth even from its own officers and soldiers. Admiral Hayes offered the Empire a choice that was really no choice at all. They could surrender and face trial for their crimes or fight a war they could not win. Human forces were already in position throughout Imperial space and could strike at any moment. The demonstration of human power continued as Captain Johnson revealed more hidden ships. Entire fleets materialized around Imperial positions like ghosts becoming real. They had been waiting and watching for the perfect moment to reveal themselves. Imperial officers realized their situation was hopeless. Human ships surrounded them with weapons that could destroy their vessels before they could react. The most powerful empire in galactic history had been outmaneuvered by a species they had dismissed as primitive. Admiral Hayes explained that human strategy had been based on patience and careful planning. They had studied Imperial weaknesses for decades and prepared counters for every possible response. The Empire had no moves left to make. Colonel Torres addressed the Imperial delegation with words that carried the weight of history. She spoke for all the species the Empire had destroyed and all the worlds they had burned. Justice had been a long time coming, but it had finally arrived. The meeting ended with Admiral Hayes giving the Empire 24 hours to begin their surrender. She said human forces would not wait any longer for justice. The time for hiding and preparation was over, and the time for action had begun. Admiral Kethvar returned to his ship knowing his world had changed forever. The empire he had served his entire life was built on lies and crimes. The species he had dismissed as weak had proven to be the most dangerous enemy the galaxy had ever seen. Maya Torres watched the Imperial shuttle depart and felt a mixture of sadness and relief. She had spent years living a lie, but now she could finally be herself. The war between her two identities was over and humanity had won. Human ships began moving throughout the galaxy, taking positions for the final phase of their campaign. The hidden war was about to become very public as humanity revealed the full extent of their power and their plans for Galactic. Just as Admiral Hayes stood on the observation deck of her command ship looking out at the stars. Phase 3 was beginning, and soon the entire galaxy would know that humanity had not been hiding because they were weak. They had been hiding because they were preparing for this moment of reckoning. The primitive species from Sol 3 was about to teach the galaxy a lesson about patience and planning and the power of those who fight for justice against oppression. The Battle of Nexus Prime began not with weapons fire, but with a demonstration of technological superiority that shocked the galaxy. Admiral Kethvar stood on his bridge watching the UES Nightfall approach his massive flagship. The human ship was smaller, but it moved with deadly grace and confidence. Captain Lisa Morgan opened communications one final time before the battle began. She told Admiral Kethvar that this was not about destroying ships or killing soldiers, but about ending an empire built on lies and oppression. Her words carried the weight of decades of careful planning and preparation. The battle was unlike anything in galactic history. The Nightfall did not fire weapons, but instead launched cyber attacks that penetrated every Imperial system. Admiral Kethvar watched in horror as his own ship turned against him with every computer obeying human commands instead of Imperial orders. Commander Elena Rodriguez demonstrated the true power of human technology as she systematically dismantled the Nexus Prime from within. Weapon systems refused to fire and defensive shields collapsed without explanation. The most advanced warship in the Imperial fleet became helpless in minutes. Maya Torres now revealed as Admiral Torres broadcast a message to the entire galaxy from the bridge of a human command ship. She spoke for all the species the Empire had destroyed and all the worlds they had burned. Her words reached billions of beings who had lived under Imperial oppression. The revelation of human power spread across the galaxy like wildfire. In system after system, human forces emerged from hiding to take control of Imperial installations. Species the Empire thought extinct returned with human backing and support. The Galactic Order collapsed in a single day. Admiral Kethvar realized the terrible truth as his ship systems failed around him. Humanity had never needed to hide because they were weak. They had hidden because they were preparing for this exact moment. Every interaction between humans and the Empire had been part of an elaborate plan. Captain Lisa Morgan stood on the bridge of the Nightfall, watching Imperial ships surrender throughout the sector. She turned to her communications officer, Commander Nicole Foster, and gave the order that changed galactic history forever. Operation Daybreak was complete, and Phase 3 could begin. The galaxy learned that humanity's greatest weapon had never been their advanced technology or their hidden fleets. Their real power came from patience and planning, and the willingness to wait decades for the perfect moment to strike. They had played the longest game in galactic history. Admiral Torres addressed the surrendering Imperial forces with words that echoed across space. She announced that the age of Imperial oppression was ending, and a new era of justice was beginning. The primitive species from Sol 3 had proven that sometimes the most dangerous enemy is the one you never see coming. Human ships appeared in every corner of the galaxy, revealing the true scope of their secret empire. Bases that had been hidden for decades opened their doors and showed technology that made Imperial engineering look primitive. The humans had been building their strength in plain sight. Species after species joined the human coalition as news of Imperial crimes spread throughout the galaxy. Governments that had been secretly controlled by human agents revealed their true loyalties. The Empire discovered they had been surrounded by enemies for years without knowing it. Admiral Kethvar watched his life work crumble as the Zephyrian Empire fell apart around him. Ships that had enforced Imperial will for centuries now flew human flags. Officers who had served the Empire faithfully learned they had been fighting for monsters and war criminals. Captain Sarah Johnson, of the UES, Whisper led fleets of human ships in a victory parade through former Imperial space. The stealth technology that had kept them hidden now allowed them to appear like magic wherever they chose. The galaxy witnessed the birth of a new power. Admiral Hayes addressed the galaxy from her command ship, explaining that humanity had not sought conquest or empire but justice for the crimes committed against innocent species. The coalition of the oppressed would build something better than the corrupt system they had destroyed. Maya Torres stood beside her human colleagues, feeling whole for the first time in years. She had served two masters, but now she could finally be herself. The war between her identities was over, and justice had won the day. The trial of Imperial war criminals began immediately as human forces secured evidence of genocide and slavery throughout the galaxy. Admiral Kethvar found himself facing charges for crimes he had committed, while thinking he was serving justice and order. Human technology was shared with species that had suffered under Imperial rule. Worlds that had been stripped of resources were rebuilt and restored. The galaxy began to heal from centuries of exploitation and oppression under the guidance of their human liberators. Captain Lisa Morgan reflected on the success of the greatest military campaign in galactic history. Humanity had defeated an empire without destroying it, but by turning it against itself. They had proven that intelligence and patience could triumph over brute force and arrogance. The galaxy realized that the primitive species from Earth had taught them the most important lesson of all. True power came not from strength or technology, but from the courage to fight for what is right even when the odds seem impossible. Admiral Torres gave the final order of Operation Daybreak, as human forces established new governments throughout former Imperial space. The age of oppression was ending, and the age of justice was beginning, thanks to the species that had learned to hide their strength until the moment was right. The stars themselves seemed to shine brighter as news of human victory spread to every corner of the galaxy. The empire that had ruled for 1,000 years was gone, and in its place stood a coalition dedicated to freedom and justice for all species humanity. had shocked the galaxy by revealing that sometimes the greatest victory comes not from fighting, but from waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The primitive species from Sol 3 had become the liberators of the galaxy, through patience and planning, and the courage to never give up hope.